Mama. I'm Courtney Cecil, proud mom of two boys and an organizational culture and behavior change executive. And I'm a believer in building a movement to help the burned out, overwhelmed working moms reclaim their control and free time so that they can confidently remain in the workforce without losing the sanity or themselves. Now, let's get started. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of the Life Management System. And inside this snack sized episode, we're going to talk about learning to let it go. How many times have you found yourself doing something and then resenting whatever that thing was the entire time? Or maybe not resenting it, but certainly not loving it. So maybe, hypothetically, you used to be a runner, you used to be a really good runner, but now your knees are failing you. Or you are extra salty every time you wake up because it's either too hot or too cold outside when you run. You got to let that go. Or maybe it's a possession. Like maybe you're stuffing your booty into tight pants because it's all you got in your closet, and you refuse to go get something else. Or maybe you're holding on to this magnet that your deceased grandmother got you out of guilt, even though the magnet means absolutely nothing to you and you have no place to put the magnet. Or maybe you find yourself resenting day in and day out that you are going to a job that sucks your soul. Or maybe you're fighting constantly with your kid to get out of the car for sports practice. If any of those or anything similar to those sounds familiar to you, I've got news for you. You don't need to do it. Mom, let that go. Good golly, let it go. Inertia is not a good enough reason for you to continue doing things. They're not filling your cup up. So, as a hypothetical, I was out getting my haircut and have become very close with my the person who cuts it or used to cut it. She's no longer here, but in it, her daughter, I was getting it cut in her house, and her daughter would come on gymnastics days, and she's like, "Mom, do I have to go?" She'd be writing her note and sliding it under across the table for her to see, and she clearly did not want to go to gymnastics. And her name was Ashley. I turned to Ashley and said, if she doesn't want to go and you hate it, because Ashley, the person cutting my hair, also absolutely resented it. She she's like, we have to go 3 times a week. It's so far away. There's nothing for me to do nearby. Like it just takes up a lot of time. And the daughter didn't want to go. It's like, this feels like a no-brainer to me. Just stop going to gymnastics. Now, don't get me wrong. There's an absolute difference between you making a commitment to a team or a league or something like that and seeing it through. But if it's just something that you renew on a month by month basis, it's like a membership or whatever it may be, time and money are way too precious for you to be doing something that makes you miserable. Maybe it's not even miserable. Maybe miserable is a strong word. Maybe it just doesn't light you up or doesn't fill your cup up. Regardless, like that's a sign you need to let it go. And it's okay. You can outgrow something. As an example, maybe you started in a job that you loved and you were so jazzed about it, kind of like the first day of school. You picked out your outfit for the first day of work. You got a new computer bag for it, whatever it may be. Like you were pumped. But then it became a little stale. You stopped learning, you stopped being challenged, you find yourself with a team you don't jive with as much, whatever it may be. Or maybe you became a mom and the work conditions changed, or post-pandemic, the work conditions changed. And you're just saying, this doesn't serve me well anymore. You got to let that go. Or maybe, you can see this, like there's a lot of or maybes here, right? Like I'm trying to come up with some things that might resonate with y'all. Or maybe you were volunteering at church before kids, and it's something you felt very purpose driven to do. You know that it was fulfilling your service obligations to the community or your faith, but now it just kind of feels like it's sucking your energy because you're so strapped for spare time. I am going to give you permission to let all of these things go. But guess what? It's up to you. You're the adult. And as an adult, you get to make that decision for yourself. You are the one responsible for making the change or deciding to make them a change and then actually committing to it. So, as an example, if you are over your job, if you are not being fulfilled by your job, start applying for new ones. Take steps, create that resume. Start putting yourself out there. Start telling the people in your network, you know what? I think I'm ready for something new, or I'm at least ready to have the conversation about it. You will be shocked at how energy giving that alone might be. I was in my organization, my last organization, for 16 years. And it served me well for a really long time. I had some great bosses. I had a lot of great coworkers. I had some killer opportunities. Just, kind of the kind of opportunities you couldn't write a rec as good as they were. And then it got to a point where it just stopped serving me, and it drained my soul for 6 straight months and left me in tears many times, left me frustrated many times. And despite my loyalty to this organization, that is my sign that this is no longer serving me well. And it was shocking, like what it did for my psyche when I then started telling people and manifesting it into the world that I was ready for something new. Because that put me in the driver's seat. That put me in control of my destination. So it took about a year for me to find my next gig. I was being picky. I got there. Like I now get to lead culture at a Fortune 50. So the patience paid off for me. But even though it took me a year to find that right role, the act of being in control and doing something about it was incredibly liberating. So start applying for that new job. Let your kid quit gymnastics. Tell your minister you look forward to helping again, but in a different stage in life. And if you missed the last episode on how to honor your boundaries, I encourage you to tune into that. It's episode 5. Because inside that episode, I help you form the language on how to say no. And I talk about practicing that, practicing, as with everything, is what's going to make you good at it. Sure, it's easy to complain. I get it. Misery loves company. But I promise you, quitting and giving yourself that time back is even easier than complaining. It relieves you of the baggage that no longer aligns with the stage in life that you might be in right now. And that's freedom. It is absolute freedom, mama. Okay, so if you haven't checked it out already, I encourage you to review my time wasters guide. So, the top 10 things that might be draining you of free time, you can get that link in the show notes, or you can just go to www.workingmomsmovement.com/time-wasters. If you like what you're hearing here, I would be so grateful if you share us with a friend, subscribe, rate, and review us. We are a new podcast. We are a relatively new business, so very dependent on you as the members of our village to help us get lift off the ground. Okay, until next time, friends, if nobody's told you lately, you're doing a great job. You got this, mama.